We may be divided based on caste and classes, but in the journey into spirituality and devotion, all men enter into only one class, and there are no divisions in this class. As long as the person is not loving towards his soul and towards other beings and God, he may not belong to the class of devotional beings. Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this video, we will talk about how the disciple can qualify to a life of devotion. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. God does not discriminate between beings. He has nothing to do with the rich or the poor, old or young, man or woman. It is only the man that makes such discriminations. Due to such discriminations only then does he have to face the tough situations of life. The difference in a being happens when a person comes with a sattva quality. Such a person does not involve in flirting. They do not roam around with girlfriends, boyfriends. These people's image cannot be tarnished and they are free of corruption. Such people are loyal to the self and belong to a cultured background. Such people do not lie to their parents and bunk school or college to enjoy time with friends and secretly watch movies. They also do not miss college lectures to have physical relations with another sex. Such persons do not understand what pleasure is derived from another person of an opposite sex by touching them. They do not involve in love and writing of love letters. The flip side to this is that the people present in society do not know what marriage means to a person. The reason to this is that they have had innumerable instances of having physical relationships with a lot of partners. These affairs, in a true sense, turn out to be unfair later in the life of the person. Marriage of a person should be sanctimonious and it should be meaningful to the individual, and not getting married and flirting and roaming with innumerable partners non-stop one after the other, then in God's court of law amount to major offenses. An example of such an offense is that if someone accidentally touches you inappropriately and you get an excitement out of it, it exactly fits the description of such an offense. Such offenses lead to the darkening of the life of the person. This means that he or she never gets to experience his or her soul. An experience or a peek into a person's soul is the key of ignition into a person's spiritual devotional life. The recovery of such people from ailments is also exceptionally fast, while others may take days or weeks. In the Atma or soul's court of law, none of the offenses by the Jiva or individuals go unnoticed. Atma views all the Jivas and accounts all their sins and virtues, and it is maintained by the Atma as every moment of the Jiva's life, karmas shape up his or her current and future life. The Jiva's life is a mixture of sins and virtuous karmas. As both occur together in unison, then the proportion or the extent of difference between the sins and virtues decides the Jiva's next life. Even though a guru may recommend such a person to God to give them a push towards passionate spiritual life, God may decline such a guru's demand. It would be only due to a reason that they may be worthless from a spiritual standpoint. God may show no interest in helping such a person in their spiritual journey. Guru from his standpoint tries to show mercy or pity on the Jiva, as he may be looking at his worldly afflictions and due to that may show more compassion to him or her. But God knows the individual, as he is the Jiva's creator and founder, and the track record of the disciple that has physical relationships would be totally rejected by God. These persons won't receive adequate help from their Atma at their time of need, and that's where the Jiva requires the Atma to help out. At this time, the Atma remains aloof and just watches the Jiva brought to justice. If you watch till the end, you would get to know the ignition of devotion in the mind of the devotee. So stay tuned and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. The reason to this is that God approves the relationships of man and woman as husband and wife, and the dharma or right behavior and social order that follows in relation to it is also approved by God, and the physical relationships that occur outside those boundaries of husband and wife are forbidden pleasures from God's point of view. Guru on the other hand is in human form, as he is in constant touch with his or her disciple, generally due to humanity simply tries to show them mercy due to the disciples' human and worldly connection with the Guru. It doesn't mean that God isn't merciful. He is definitely far more merciful. The point to note here is that the Guru, being a teacher of a group of students, would always think about the progress of his or her students. As a teacher that always hopes that all his students should have an A+ result, and also the Guru has already walked through the path where the disciple is trying to walk, so he knows the disciple's pains. So it also depends on the morality of the disciple. More the moral, the better for the disciple to dissolve him or herself into a life of devotion. There is a scenario to this where a person could be moral but still not be devotional. The person may be apart from all the scenarios as described before. These people's sins and offenses are also pretty minimal. Then why are they still not able to follow a devotional life and be able to experience peace? These pitiable people are not passionate about their own self or the Atma. The lifetimes of evolution of the human life in them has rooted out their love for their own self. There are two parts to this problem. First is that the person may be a sinner is automatically rooted out. The second part is that the person, even though not being a sinner, has no love for his self or Atma or God. The way to go about it would be to ignite the embers of the perceptive consciousness, as only the wood when burnt leads to the cooking of the rice. The switch to such an ignition is through the name of God, and the names like Hari Om or Ram or Hare Krishna are the ignitions to begin your peaceful journey into the spiritual world. This is a chant that the individual only has to do. No one else could do it for him. So it may be that you are not a sinner, but still you may not be able to live a peaceful life. It's due to the reason that the mind is totally wilted and parched. The soaking would happen by the chant as described earlier. This is the initial step that the disciple can take in their journey. Even though these people chant, they chant with less intensity. This frailty of the person is unable to push him past the headwinds of his desires. The devotee should feel thirsty for his own self, and in a way, God is also yearning for the jiva to know his self. This is love, God's yearning for the veil to be lifted on the jiva. Once the chant begins, the procession of love ignites, and slowly and steadily the veil of ignorance starts to lift. As long as the jiva's feeling of yearning doesn't begin, the engine doesn't start, and as the engine doesn't start, it could never reach the destination that it is supposed to reach. It's not that it would never reach, it's just that it takes more time for the jiva to reach his destination. Hence the disciple should be passionate in his devotion, because only such a passion is then able to kindle spiritual devotion. It is like addition of water to rice before cooking it. Once it cooks, you can see that each grain of rice is cooked perfectly with perfect consistency. Not one of the grains is then left behind. It's the addition and passion that just tilts the scale in the disciple's favor towards a devotional life from an uneasy and a distressful one. Another example is of a person who has committed offenses in his lifetime. He won't be able to experience peace in this lifetime. Even an action of beating or slapping another person could hinder the person's growth in a spiritual field. Even then, the Guru or God are merciful in a sense that even a little bit of love shown by them could help them to change the course of their destiny. It may be easier said than done for such people to start the transition into a spiritual life. The hindrances are that the person has had only offenses committed and he continues to live a life of arrogance, rage and distraught. He or she continues to face his or her tribulations of his or her past life, even though he wants to walk over to the brighter side of life. Such ideas are always cut short time and again with adverse current events in the person's life. As the mind swirls between these happenings, the individual finds himself back in the same situation and cannot bring himself out of the situation. An example to describe this situation is a situation at an office wherein a person is always tormented by his superiors, and despite all the work that he does, there is no appreciation for him by his management. Such a management is also at fault, but in the real sense, it's the karmas of the person working out in real time. As the individual works at the office, he finds out that there is always a strong opposition to him personally and others are not being taken to task in a similar sense. Hence, if such a person begins his or her spiritual journey, if he then begins chanting or doing meditative efforts, they are generally cut short every day as he or she again enters back into the same office space and sees the same people. It's the morass of such situations that cause the disciple to never get on track on a real devotional path. Even though in the current situation he would desire spirituality so much, he still gets pulled away by his past actions, and also his past behaviors strike back on him through a way by which his or her bosses have made up their minds about him. This is karma. There couldn't be a better explanation of how this situation could be resolved. It cannot be said that the individual would suddenly start agreeing with the person that he has been disagreeing with all this time. It is also not acceptable to him. Such a solution is not acceptable to him. This is his ego. He cannot accept to meet the other person at the same meeting ground. He likes to remain at his own stance and never lets go of his ego and come to a negotiating table. A person that advises him or her to give up his ego isn't giving him the right advice. It won't work out for that person. All the person would need to do in this case would be to acknowledge his past karmas and begin his chant routines to help his mind move through the tough times. It is not possible that God is going to fix his problems just because he or she has started chanting. This is the person's expectation. He thinks that due to him or her chanting, the problem would be gone. This is the Jiva's mind. He or she thinks that his problems are going to be solved immediately. He then takes a step to run away from the problem by leaving his job and join another one to make the problem go away. He forgets the main part of the problem is that the problem won't be fixed by joining another job. Depending on the situation, then he gets different set of problems, and in a very few occasions the problems are totally nullified. As the Atma always is with the person, so are the karmas that come full circle on the Jiva. In some cases the Atma just checkmates the Jiva and the Jiva is just left cornered. The Jiva has to then make sure his behaviors in the current life do not stray in such a path that he may have to face such a checkmate kind of situation. Effects of past karmas, however, don't allow the Jiva to keep his behavior in check. As the example I discussed of the office scenario, it is not possible for the Jiva to just submit himself to another person due to his own ego. A devotional life without the ignition of the name of God within is not possible for the Jiva to traverse the morass of his life. This ignition is the ultimate answer to the difficult situations of life. Society is just trying to get its quick band-aid fixes to the problems of life, and these poor pitiable folks are in the real sense broke and bankrupt spiritually. The entire life of such people is then wasted. Don't be such a bankrupt or broke person. When a Jiva knows his or her own Atma, the person is then really a wealthy and affluent person. A person with millions of dollars in his bank account could be thrown off in an instant, and all that money that he or she has earned would be wiped out in a moment's notice. The life of such a person would then become worthless. The earned money is such a maya, the Jiva only knows it after his or her death. The reverse eye-opening situation to this is that the person who depends solely on his Atma or soul, even though he may not be earning in millions, is in the real sense the king of his or her own times. He fights all his ailments and may have no ailments at all. Such person's life is clean without any faultiness and dishonesty. Such persons are not fearing to say or do the right thing. It's then the devotion of such person is fruitful and the resulting life is worthwhile and productive. The mind of such a person is pure and free of anger, greed and jealousy. The Jiva in his living, even though bound by bad and good karmas or a combination of those, should try to live a jolly and tasteful life. The tasteful life of devotion means the tasteful life of the being. The chants that he or she does should trickle within him. His mind should be in a peaceful state. The chants sprout happiness in the mind of the Jiva and make him capable to fight the whirlwinds of his or her own karmas. The mind becomes powerful and fixed in a resolve and then never wavers in the time of adversity. The seeds of these chants grow into small saplings and the disciple waters his mind to make the plant of devotion grow big with strong roots, and this eliminates out all the unnecessary weeds, and he then remains strong, resolute and with a secure mind. How did you like the video on the qualifications of a disciple for devotional life? Please do let me know your thoughts and also any questions about your spiritual journey in the comment section below. I will try to respond as and when possible. I will see you in the next video.